Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. Tomorrow in less than 24 hours, the monsoon session of Parliament will get underway. With me to tell me about the issues and causes that the Congress party wishes to raise, as well as its attitude and behaviour on the floor of the Rajya Sabha, is the leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha and undoubtedly the Congress party's most experienced politician in Parliament. In fact, he's the only active congressman today who also served as the minister in Indira Gandhi's government. He is Ghulam Nabi Azad. Mr. Azad, let me start with a simple, direct question. You're not just leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha, you're also leader of the largest party in the Rajya Sabha. Will the Rajya Sabha function during the monsoon session?
Well, it is for the government. This is what I have said today. Today was a meeting of all party, a meeting convened by the government. And I have made it clear that while we are a very responsible political party and the oldest party of the country, and we know our responsibilities, we are in the passage of the bills, but at the same time, we also represent the people of India and their aspirations. Each member of parliament, whether it is in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, they are ears and eyes of the people of Indian people. And besides passing the legislation, passing various bills, which are always in the interest of the country, they also expect their representatives in both the houses that they should take up the issues concerning the people of the country with the government.
I heard you very carefully. You began by saying it's up to the government to ensure Parliament functions properly. But the truth is, in the Rajya Sabha, Congress is the single largest party by far. You're almost 20 MPs more than the government in the Rajya Sabha. You are the leader of that huge section. You alone can determine whether the Rajya Sabha functions. If your attitude is that the government must do A, B, C, D, and the government doesn't do it, that means the Rajya Sabha won't function.
Well, let me tell you very clearly what I have said in the meeting, that we are for the passage of the bill. Of course, I have made it very clear that each bill will be passed and supported by my party on merit. On merit, that's most important or underlined. But there are other issues which are dominating the entire media, be electronic or print media. The agitations are going on in different parts of the country for the last 2 months on two big issues.
And they are?
They are Vyapam issue, which has emanated from Madhya Pradesh.
And the second?
And second is Lalitgate issue, which has become international. It is not confined to Indian territory, but it has become an international.
Are these two other issues, Vyapam and Lalitgate, more important in your eyes than the passage of legislation? Do they take priority?
Well, the passage of legislation is important, but also at the same time to take care of the aspirations of the people of India. All these issues are equally important. Never before in the history of India a scheme of the magnitude of Vyapam has taken place, not only in India, in any part of the world.
Let's then talk about these two issues and then come to other legislation that the government hopes to pass. Let's begin with Vyapam. Vyapam is a Madhya Pradesh state-related issue. What do you want the central parliament to do about this?
It is no more a state-related issue. And particularly our house, the Rajya Sabha, it represents the states. So we are directly representing the states in the parliament.
So what do you want the Rajya Sabha to do?
Now, Rajya Sabha, this is, as I said, normally we say that this is the mother of the schemes, but I won't use it mother of schemes. I would say it is the grandmother of the schemes. The magnitude of the scheme is unimaginable. Unimaginable. We have seen that ministers are involved in the scheme, officers are involved in the scheme, who's who of Madhya Pradesh is involved in the scheme. The education ministry is arrested, the private secretary of the chief minister who is arrested, and it was being said by SIT, the government SIT, that the private secretary of the chief minister is a part of the gang. He is arrested.
The size and scale of Vyapam are known to us. What I want to know is, what are you looking for in Parliament? Are you looking for a debate? Are you looking for a vote? Are you looking for censorship? What are you looking for?
Now, after great efforts made by media persons and political parties and the people across the country, everybody wanted that this case should be handed over to Supreme Court, so to CBI.
That has happened.
That has happened. Now, it's not enough. We want two things. Number one, this should be Supreme Court monitored CBI.
The Supreme Court is deciding about that.
Okay,
it will probably decide on the 24th.
But whether it is Supreme Court monitored or it is CBI as standalone, nothing will come out unless the Chief Minister of the Madhya Pradesh resigns. As long as the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh is there in position, nothing will.
So
nothing will come out.
So your first demand on Vyapam and your biggest demand on Vyapam is Shivraj Singh Chauhan must resign.
He must go. Because you tell me.
What happens if
you tell me how many scams have taken place across the country and across the globe? In which scam 48 people, witnesses, have been killed and eliminated? Nowhere in the world. Nowhere in the world. So unless some big people, influential people, those who are in the government, are not responsible for the killing of witnesses. I have said in the meeting today that is ISI killing these people? Is Pakistani militants killing them? Is Naxalites killing these people?
You believe Shivraj Singh Chauhan and the BJP are behind the killings directly?
No. I'm not saying that they are believing, but since they are not able to catch hold of anybody, that means there are forces protecting the killers. There are forces in Madhya Pradesh who are protecting these everybody.
And those forces are connected to Shivraj Singh Chauhan in some way. He controls them.
No, if they were not connected, if the government was not in it, by now at least out of this 46 or 48 people assassinated, killed, eliminated, the police could have caught hold of a few murderers. So not a single person has been caught.
So your first demand for the proper functioning of the Rajya Sabha is that Shivraj Singh Chauhan must resign, and must resign before Parliament begins. In other words, he must resign tonight.
He must resign. He should have resigned. But this government is so thick-skinned and insensitive to the demands of the people and the media and opposition. They don't take any action.
Let's come to Lalitgate. Now, Lalitgate is a campaign that Congress has been pursuing for almost a month. For a month, you've been publicly demanding either the resignation or the sacking of Sushma Swaraj and Vasundhara Raje Scindia. It hasn't happened. How will you raise this issue in Parliament? Because Sushma Swaraj, unlike Vasundhara and unlike Shivraj Singh Chauhan, is a member of Parliament. Hers is an issue you can raise directly on the floor of the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. How will you handle Lalitgate in Parliament?
Well, we would like to discuss that. But before discussion, the head should roll.
Again?
Head should roll.
So
how is Bharatiya Janata different than other political parties? Did in our period, when we were ruling party and the Bharatiya Janata Party was in opposition, didn't the head roll for just frivolous charges? Which were frivolous charges?
Are you talking about Pavan Bansal? Are you talking about Ashwini Kumar?
No, I'm talking Ashwini Kumar, I'm talking Pavan Bansal, I'm talking about the Maharashtra Chief Minister. Maharashtra Chief Minister's Ashok Chauhan's mother-in-law had flat in one society and he had to go. Then
so you're saying the same standards must apply?
There is no comparison. The magnitude of Vyapam and the magnitude of Lalitgate is billion-fold more than what allegations.
Let me clarify two things, because I think it's very important. The first thing you're saying is that at least 3 heads must roll before Parliament starts, otherwise the functioning of Parliament cannot be guaranteed by you. And those 3 heads are Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Vasundhara Raje Scindia and Sushma Swaraj, and they must roll tonight, otherwise Parliament won't function tomorrow.
I'm not connecting the two. I'm just saying, if the smooth functioning of the Parliament, it is the responsibility of the government. and how the smooth functioning of the government takes place. If they take the demand of the opposition on board, and this is one of the demand. This is not the demand of Congress party alone. This is the demand of media person. This is the electronic media, print media. This is the demand of the entire nation.
You're not using the word.
Such big scams have taken place.
You're not using the word, Mr. Azad, that this is a condition, but it is quite clear from the way you're speaking that the condition is these three heads must go.
Action should be taken first.
Otherwise, Parliament won't function.
Well, that's for the ruling party to decide.
Let me ask you another quick question before I then pursue the matter further. How many heads are you looking for? Is it just the three we've mentioned, or are there other heads you want to roll as well?
Well, there are similar cases, much of, maybe not of this magnitude, but there are corruption cases and two scams in Maharashtra.
You're talking about Tavde and Munde.
Yeah.
So are those heads to roll tonight as well?
Should.
So now there are five heads.
Let me tell you one thing.
Now there are 5 heads.
What happened in 2010 and 2011? In the case of 2G, there was no monsoon session. There was no winter session. Is only half of the budget session next year. When we took the action, then they allowed the Parliament to function.
By bringing up the comparison of 2G, you raise a very important another question. Are you prepared to go to the same extent?
No, we must. This is a democracy. How is it now different?
In other words, you feel a compulsion to do so.
How can the responsibility change? If the Bharatiya Janata Party, being in opposition, will have one face and would like the ministers to quit from the UP government, as I said, just for frivolous charges. I'm not talking about the 2G, but the other charges which I mentioned earlier were just frivolous charges, and they made us that the minister should resign.
So the same thing must happen now.
It should happen. So you can't have a different yardstick.
Is this revenge?
You cannot have
is this revenge in some sense?
No, it's not revenge. This is what then political. This is what BJP then said, that in a democracy, you have to take action. You have to listen to the opposition. You have to listen to the aspirations of the people of country. But I must tell that at that point of time, the media was not involved. In the case of
now the media is, and therefore it's a more urgent case.
No, the media, not only the media, entire country is involved. Entire country is demanding this.
Let me put a scenario to you.
The entire country is demanding this.
Let me put a scenario to you. You've made it clear that at least 3 heads must roll tonight. You'd like additionally 2 more from Maharashtra to go, Tavde and Munde. You're talking about 5.
I'm not saying tonight, as and when.
But this is interesting, because if you say as and when, this is the question. Let me then come to the question. Tomorrow Parliament starts.
Naturally.
If the heads you want to roll haven't rolled, will Parliament function tomorrow? Will it function day after? Or will you wait for the heads to roll before Parliament functions?
This is the demand what we would like to make tomorrow.
This is the demand.
That is the demand.
So then the question is this. If Parliament doesn't function tomorrow...
This is the demand which my party and I would like to make tomorrow.
Absolutely, and in the Rajya Sabha, you're the biggest party.
Of course, there's a third very important issue which we would like to discuss. There, I'm not asking the resignation or ruling of any individual, is the deteriorating relations between Pakistan and India.
I'll come to that in a moment's time. I want to discuss that with you. But on this question, are you also asking for Smriti Irani's head? That's one you haven't mentioned as yet.
No, because these are there are a number of issues.
These are the big ones.
You cannot take so many issues.
Then let me put this
because I think these are the ones, these 2-3 big issues wherein the entire country is involved.
I understand that.
And entire country is concerned.
Let me put this to you. Parliament begins on Tuesday. Your heads haven't rolled. Congress protests. Parliament is disrupted. The Rajya Sabha is disrupted. It gets disrupted on Tuesday. It gets disrupted on Wednesday.
Why Rajya Sabha? The Lok Sabha will also.
Parliament as a whole is disrupted.
We'll take up these issues both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha.
What happens after you disrupt if the government doesn't give in? Suppose the government calls your bluff. Suppose they refuse for heads to roll.
I won't be able to say what we will do, because one does not know if we take up this issue in the Parliament, inside the Parliament, maybe...
How? My question is this, how long are you prepared to continue disrupting Parliament?
That depends. I can't decide the entire strategy of the entire month. At this moment, I can only say when the first day of the Parliament comes, we would like to ask the government that why they have not taken any action, and why shouldn't they take action in such a serious
But are you prepared
cases?
to continue right through the session? Because if you want to make a point, presumably you have to continue non-stop until the government gives in. Otherwise, you've achieved nothing.
Well, that we'll decide. That we'll decide with each passing day inside the parliament.
So each day will have a sword hanging over it.
No, each day we shall have to take up an issue and we shall have to decide.
And just as happened in 2G, it's possible the whole session could be lost.
I was just citing an example that the BJP cannot have two yardsticks, one being in opposition and another yardstick when they are in the government.
Let me put this to you. There was a lot of criticism from the Congress when the BJP held up the functioning of the winter session, the monsoon session over 2G. There was a lot of criticism from the media. Now you're reversing the situation. Are you of the opinion that the country will support what you're doing? Or do you worry that the country and the media will criticize you for wasting parliamentary time, for wasting resources?
Well, I must tell you, at this point of time, it is the media who has taken up this issue. First, I must give credit, full number to electronic.
So you believe the media will support your disruption of parliament?
I must give full credit to electronic media. I must give full credit to print media. I must give 1000% marks to the people of India, intellectuals, farmers, everybody, because so many agitations are taking across the country.
Your thanks, this take is done.
So this time, both these issues are not only opposition driven, but these are public driven and also the media driven.
So does this mean you believe...
Only in the parliament, as a responsible opposition party, we are representing the aspirations of the people of our country and also aspirations and demand of the
Mr.
fourth estate.
You're almost suggesting that when you disrupt parliament, you're doing it on behalf of the Indian people.
No. They want some answer.
And disrupting parliament is the only way to get it.
Disrupting is not. These are different words.
Holding up the function of parliament.
Demanding.
Yes, but the net result is parliament won't function. And you believe the people of the country will support that? You believe the media will support that?
But that's the part of the democracy. This is the part of the democracy. We don't have a dictatorship. You have to seek.
Okay.
You have to seek the justice from the government. And how do you seek? How did we got the freedom? How did Mahatma Gandhi got the freedom?
You're equating this to the freedom struggle?
No, I'm saying if you have to get something out of the government, if you have to get the justice, you have to take some route.
So you are ready to use the Prime Minister's phrase as he used in Jammu for a big mukabla tomorrow onwards. You are ready for a fight.
No, we are ready, of course. There's a democracy, and democracy we have to live up to the expectations
and
of
there's
the people.
No question of Congress giving in or giving up.
If we do not take up these issues on the floor of the House, I think we will fail and in taking up the issues which the people of India wanted us to take
And
up.
There's no question of Congress giving in or giving up. You will fight all the way till you get the heads you want.
We have to fight.
Getting the heads you have to get. That's the point. You want those resignations.
This is our demand.
And you have to have it.
No, I can't say that on behalf of the Prime Minister that I will have it. This is the demand. This is what the people of India want.
And you will keep fighting. You will not let Parliament function until your demand is met.
We will fight. We have to raise this issue, and this is one of the major demand. As I said, that we are for the passage of the bills, but each bill has to be taken on merit, and our concerns have to be taken on board by the government. That is a totally separate issue, but at the same time, the aspirations of the people and the demand made by the people across the country, the demands made by the fourth estate, and even some media persons went to the extent that this government is so thin-skinned that they are insensitive to the demands of the people.
Mr. Azad, let's take a break at that point. When I come back, I'm going to move away from the heads you want to roll, and I'm going to come to the critical pieces of legislation the government hopes to pass, land acquisition as well as the GST. And I'll also talk to you a little about India-Pakistan relations. And let's come to the bills the government hopes to pass, because it's very important the country should understand where the Congress party stands on these bills. And I want to begin by quoting to you what Rahul Gandhi said in Jaipur on Friday about the land acquisition amendment. He said, We will not allow the land bill to be passed in Parliament. Not a single inch of land will be given. How does the Congress party plan to stop the land bill being passed by the Rajya Sabha? What do you propose to do?
I totally support Mr. Rajiv Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, and I am very happy that he has spearheaded this moment again.
But how will you stop the bill being passed?
Because you need 2/3 majority.
Not for the land bill.
No, not for the land bill.
So how will you stop the land bill being passed?
No, but it's not only us. Insofar as the land bill is concerned, there are almost the entire opposition parties are against this.
So are you going to permit a vote and vote it down, or are you going to disrupt Parliament?
No, we are not. Let me tell you, we are not interested in voting it down, because this is the bill which we had already passed.
You're not interested in voting it down?
No,
that's very important.
No, we are not interested just vote it down for the sake of the voting down. This is a bill which we have passed in both the houses of the Parliament. And after coming into the power, the Bharatiya Janata Party brought an ordinance and undo the bill which we had already brought. So we want our own bill, our own original bill, which we have
same terms and
conditions.
In other words, consent clauses 70-80%.
Yes, consent clause has to be there. Social impact assessment
5 years unchanged.
For 5 years, if land is not remains unused for 5 years.
So you're implacably opposed to the amendments. There's nothing you can accept of the amendments.
No, why should this government bring such amendments when the bill, legislation is already passed by the previous government?
Because they believe
to which the present government was a party.
Well, that's another matter.
No, that's very important.
Governments have a right. Governments have a right to change.
How could they be party in passage of the bill just a year before, and 1 year later they bring ordinance to undo that bill?
Governments have a right to change their mind. But let's move away from why they change their mind to what you'll do when they bring the bill to the floor of the Rajya Sabha. Will you permit a discussion and vote, or will you not permit a discussion and vote? That's
no, we will oppose it.
So no discussion, no vote.
No, we will oppose it, and I'm sorry, we will not be able to pass this bill, and I'm sure all other opposition parties who are pro-farmers, any person, any individual, any political party who are in the interest of the farmers will not support.
But when you say we will oppose it, does it mean you will oppose by voting, or will you oppose by not letting the bill come to the floor, not let it be discussed?
That is a floor strategy. There's a floor management.
No, but the floor management is critical, because if you don't permit the bill to come to the floor, you're disrupting Parliament. You see, there's an element of disruption here as well.
No, the floor management cannot be decided like this. The floor management can be decided on the floor of the Parliament also.
I'll tell you why I asked.
As to how
I'll tell you why I asked. Because if your floor management is to not permit the bill to come to the floor, not permit the bill to be discussed, and once again you're talking about disruption, holding up Parliament.
I must say on behalf of my party that we cannot allow such an atrocious bill, which is anti-farmer and anti-poor, to be passed.
Okay, your attitude to the bill is perfectly clear. It seems to me that actually you will prevent discussion as well. It seems to me that perhaps this will be another reason for disruption on top of the heads that you want to roll, which will also be a reason for disruption.
That depends on the strategy.
Let's come to what the government plans to do, taking forward land acquisition amendments. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has recently said that the government could consider giving permission to the states to pass their own land acquisition amendments in line with the centre's thinking. If that happens, it would be a convenient way around the fact that you haven't got the central parliament legislating. How do you, as leader of the opposition and as leader of the largest party in the Rajya Sabha, respond to the idea of letting states pass their own amendments?
No, because it has not come in the form of a suggestion. That form, the suggestion.
But it was said publicly.
No, that was publicly, saying something publicly and saying one to each political party and asking for the suggestions for this.
But he doesn't actually need to ask you.
No.
He's simply telling you this is what he'll do. Now, if he does it, how will you respond?
He hasn't said.
He said it at a press conference. Because he said it publicly on television at a press conference.
But once they officially come with that legislation, and it is at that point of time that my party will also decide, and we shall have to discuss with like-minded parties.
I'll tell you why I asked the question. Because the BJP alone controls 8 state governments. Their allies, the Akalis, the TDP and the PDP control 3 more. Friendly parties like the BJD and the TRS control 2 more. Now, if this year they win Bihar, if next year they win Assam, if in 2017 they win Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand, they could end up with something like 16, 17 states. 17 states passing these amendments means you've lost the battle.
No, why I am saying this, because it is not at the moment under consideration, because one of the bills which makes mention in the list which they have given today to all political parties is the land acquisition bill in the form which was in original form. So if they have to make the change in that, and then again this shall have to go again to the select committee, because the select committee, joint select committee, has discussed this bill keeping in view the original bill and the amendments made and the ordinance.
Once again, even though it's just coming back from a parliamentary committee, you're now going to send it to a select committee.
No.
This bill is becoming a shuttlecock between parliamentary and select committees.
No, that we will have to see legally whether having send a particular bill with particular amendments, maybe amendments in the form of a ordinance.
You're finding clever ways of delaying. That's what you're doing, aren't you? You're finding clever ways of delaying, and the smile on your face suggests I'm right.
No, I'm not talking about delaying. I'm saying that any anti-farmer bill has to be gone into, and that has to be dealt with a great care. So we cannot deal.
All of that I accept, Mr. Azad, but the problem is that if while you keep up your delay tactics at the centre, sending it from one committee to another, not letting discussion happen, disrupt parliament.
Well,
if in the meantime Mr. Jaitley gives permission to state governments to pass their amendments, he will cut the ground from under your feet.
The bottom line is that we are not going to take any action which will hurt the people of and the farmers of our country and the poor people.
You may not, but what happens if the BJP state governments and their allies who control governments and the states that they win this year, adding up perhaps to 15 or 16, if they were in the next 18 months to do state-level amendments, you've lost the battle slowly and steadily.
Well, let that stage come, we will think.
You're not worried about it?
We are not worried about this, because I am sure no opposition is going to support any bill which is anti-farmer.
Something else that has been announced, or at least suggested and hinted, announced may be the wrong word, in the Hindustan Times this morning, is that the government is considering promulgating an ordinance on the land acquisition for the 4th time. And they're doing it because they suspect you will not permit discussion, you will not permit the amendments to be passed even in the monsoon session. How do you respond to the ordinance being promulgated a 4th time?
Well, that is the prerogative of the government. I won't make...
when he wanted to do it a second time, Mrs. Gandhi marched up the hill to Rashtrapati Bhavan to advise the president not to do it. The president ignored her advice. Now it will be happening not for the second, not even the third, but for the 4th time.
No, but that shows their determination, how anti-farmer they are. Because any successive or any repeated ordinance shows their... I should not use hatred, but that shows how much against they are against the interest of the farmers.
But the interesting thing is the word hatred first came to your mind. You look upon the BJP attitude to farmers as an attitude of hatred.
Because why should they do something which is against the farmers? Why should they at the first instance? And if no political party is supporting government on this anti-farmer issue, why should government go out of the way to do something against the farmers of India?
Your attitude to the land acquisition amendments is perfectly clear. Your attitude to how you will handle the matter if it were to come up on the floor of the Rajya Sabha Parliament is also clear. Although you haven't said it, you made it clear you're not going to let this bill be passed. You probably won't let the bill be discussed. In fact, you're suggesting without saying it, once again this will be a cause of disruption. Let's come to a second bill which is critical to this government, the Goods and Services Tax Bill. Now that is a measure this government believes could add 1, maybe even 1.5% to GDP growth. Secondly, it's a concept that Congress initiated. The BJP has simply taken it up and following on with it. Today, on the eve of the monsoon session, where does your party stand on GST?
Well, on GST we have given some amendments. And these amendments are based on our experience. Well, somebody asked me yesterday that there are some A regional party or B regional party or somebody not supporting it. I said clearly that each political party is supporting or opposing or giving amendments to this bill on the basis of the experience. Well, I can claim that no other political party other than the Congress party has so much of experience of running the affairs of the country.
Which is why you believe your five amendments are critical.
So whatever amendments we are giving, because it is most crucial and most important bill, the taxations are involved in this.
Can I stop you there? I want to take you through the 5 critical amendments one by one so the audience can understand them. The first thing is the 1% interstate entry tax. You're arguing that this must be removed. Is there any flexibility?
No, that will be decided today.
So there could be flexibility?
No. Today is the last meeting insofar as my understanding goes.
Of the Parliamentary Committee?
Today afternoon, rather today evening is going to be the last meeting of the GST. Unless they have the second meeting, of course. As of now is the last meeting, but sometime they may not have the last. And in this last meeting, the final discussion is supposed to be.
That I understand, Mr.
Zahid. I do not.
Let me put this to you. Let me put this to you. There are critical states.
I must say here that if our amendments are not taken on board, naturally our party representatives representing the party in the meeting, in the committee, will have to give a dissent vote.
Now this is very important. One of your amendments is the insistence that the 1% interstate entry tax should be removed. It must not continue. States like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu are insisting it continue. So there's every chance this amendment will not be accepted. Therefore, if it's not accepted, you can't accept.
Now, I'm not talking now about each individual amendment at this point of time. I'm just talking about that unless the final meeting takes place. As of now, I do not know. Which amendment is going to be accepted or not.
Let me reverse
I do not know whether all the amendments are going to be accepted. I am not aware at this point of time that all the amendments will be rejected. It will depend. The second move of our party or the next move of the party will depend what action the committee is going to take on our amendments.
I'm going to interpret what you're saying. What you're saying to me is that there is obviously some area of flexibility, some area of accommodation, because you want to first wait and see how many of your 5 amendments are accepted. Secondly, in what shape they are affected. Thirdly, if some are rejected, which ones are rejected? Then and only then will you decide what your stand on GST is. So that means quite clearly that you don't have a rigid position. There is flexibility, there is accommodation on GST.
But GST is one thing which we are very keen to pass. This is GST is the bill, one of the bills which we wanted to pass. And since Congress is equally interested in this, but as I said in the beginning, being an experienced party, we want that the taxpayers, they should also pay the tax, their interest should be protected, the industry's interest should be protected, and also the poor states. For example, like we are asking for the compensation, full compensation for 5 years. So whether
according to the papers, that's one amendment that you want, which the government has perhaps accepted.
So
papers are
at this point of time,
Parliamentary Committee
at this point of time, I do not know. I do not know.
But let me put
so I'm just saying these are the amendments which are very crucial, which are helping the state governments rather than the opposition.
Let me put this.
But let me tell you, none of these amendments is going to help the opposition party as such, as an individual. These amendments are going to affect or not, either going to benefit or affect adversely to the people of this country and the poor people and the backward states and the small states.
Because what you've done is a very important indication given to me that there is flexibility, there is no rigidity, you are willing to accommodate. It all depends upon which amendments are accepted, which are rejected, and to what extent they're accepted. The problem is this. You are concerned about the response to your amendments. But other critical parties in the Rajya Sabha, like the SP, the JDU, the BSP, the TMC, the BJD, have all indicated separately to the BJP that they're happy with the GST bill as it stands. Now, if they vote with the government on GST, the government could get the 2/3 majority even if you don't vote. No. Here you could end up isolated, even though, oddly enough, you're being accommodating.
Well, let me tell you, we have enough number. We will not be isolated.
You mean you can stop a 2/3 majority?
Yes, I'm sure that...
you have spoken to people, you have spoken to parties?
Besides the matter. That's my personal assessment, that constitution amendment cannot be passed.
You're confident of that?
I'm 100% sure.
In other words, Congress has, and I'm using this word deliberately, a veto on whether that constitutional amendment gets passed. If you support the bill, it will be.
As I said, if they take our concerns on board, why should we oppose
it? And if they don't, it won't get passed. That's what you're saying also.
Let us see. That I will see on the floor of the House.
Yes, absolutely.
But at this point of time, I can say I hope that the government will consider
yes,
our
but you said something more important earlier. You said that you are absolutely sure that parties will support you, and the 2/3 won't happen.
This is what I'm saying, that it will be very difficult for the government to pass any legislation, constitution amendment
without Congress support.
Congress party and Congress
without Congress support, they won't get 2/3 majority.
And it's not only in this particular case; it may be any case or any legislation.
We have very limited time.
But this is very important. That GST is very important. Congress party is very much interested in this, and whatever amendments we have given to be incorporated in this legislation are pro-public, pro-industry and pro-state states.
Let me, in the limited time left, come to one other subject with you. It is the joint statement signed by India and Pakistan at Ufa on the 10th, just 10 days ago. Many people in India view this as a statement that has upheld India's interest, as a statement where India has scored a few achievements or victories, if you want to so call it, on paper. Yet Congress takes a very negative stand. Why are you so negative about something the rest of the country looks upon as an achievement?
Well, if the achievement is of this bilateral talks 10 days before, that after that, within 1 week, hundreds of violations, ceasefire violations have taken place.
But they were happening in October, they were happening in August. Ceasefire violations keep happening.
No, but should they take place only after in this meeting also?
That is probably because there are influences in Pakistan, like the army in the ISI, who object to the fact that Mr. Nawaz Sharif has made important concessions.
So that means it has not succeeded.
It's not
succeeded.
It's something that
I must say that ever since the Prime Minister of India invited the Prime Minister of Pakistan for his swearing ceremony, from that particular date till today, whatever talks have taken place, there has been no effect or impact on the ground situation. Whenever two heads of the states, two heads of the government, head of the governments speak to each other, talk to each other, negotiate on the results should be seen on the ground.
And that hasn't happened.
That hasn't happened. It has further escalated. I must say, never before so many ceasefire violations have taken place on international border and LOC in Jammu Kashmir, as many have taken place during last 1 year. That means the entire foreign policy vis-a-vis Pakistan of India is totally directionless.
Let me put this to you.
And clueless.
Let me put this
directionless and clueless.
Let me put this to you. I'm talking primarily about the UFA statement. Can you not admit that UFA has two great gains for India? First, India's critical interest terrorism is treated with greater importance and greater priority than Pakistan's critical interest, which is Kashmir. In fact, Kashmir isn't even mentioned. And secondly, for the first time in the UFA statement, Pakistan has agreed to give Zakir Rahman's voice samples. It's never been agreed to earlier. These on paper are significant gains.
No. You are again wrong. It is here the Prime Minister of India has totally faltered and bungled.
What is that?
He has said that we will give each other. Where is going to? We have given whatever we had to give. We have given everything. We have given everything to Pakistan. We have given even to Security Council of India. So they have, he has embarrassed the country. Where is he going to bring additional?
You've used very strong words. You said the Prime Minister has bungled. You say he's embarrassed the country.
Naturally, where is which which more proof he has, which is with him to give to Pakistan? Because each and every proof we have given to the Pakistan.
What about the fact, and this is very important, that one credible reason why these crossfire, ceasefire violations are happening is because the Pakistan army is annoyed with their Prime Minister for making concessions. That proves that Mr. Modi came back with gains. It proves also that the Pakistan army is sabotaging the thing because they're embarrassed and annoyed with their Prime Minister.
That is the basic thing. What do you want? You want peace and harmony. You want the guns should remain silent on the border. If after every talks between the two prime ministers, there is a ceasefire violation, so then how can you say this is a successful meeting?
Will UFA and will the ceasefire violations be...
A successful meeting is that there is no ceasefire violation. There is no killing of the civilians. There's no killing of the army on the border. There's no killing of the BSF people. If the killing of the BSF people, army people, public, civilians takes place unabated on the border and firing goes unabated, yet you are saying that is very successful. How can you have
Can I put this to you? Many people hearing you will say Congress only doesn't like UFA and Congress is only critical because Mr. Modi gained and Congress doesn't like it. This is jealousy.
Well, I would be the happiest person. I would be the happiest person that if any negotiation between India and Pakistan becomes fruitful and successful, I will be the happiest person, because in most of the cases, it is the people of the Jammu Kashmir who have to bear
your
the
home
brunt.
state.
My home state, my own brothers, sisters and children, they have to bear the brunt.
Do you realize
but this has not happened.
But do you realize the position?
This has not happened.
But do you realize the position Congress has put itself in? You and the opposition in Pakistan are now on the same side. Surely that's an uncomfortable position for an Indian political party to be in.
No, we are our Indian side. We are with the Prime Minister. But I am saying that the Prime Minister should first take everything into cognizance. And there should be some concrete decisions, and those concrete decisions should be brought into the notice.
Okay.
And he cannot tell them, okay, one day, okay, we will not have the meeting. Second day, we will have the meeting. One day we will teach them a lesson. Another day you will send some arm. In
other words, he has to be consistent.
So there has to be consistent. So the policy of this present government has, vis-a-vis Pakistan, has been consistently inconsistent.
And that is a point you will make on the floor of the House.
This is exactly. They must have a consistent policy with Pakistan. Our Indian Parliament should be a hard bargainer with Pakistan, my party, and we will support Pakistan, this Indian Prime Minister and Indian government.
One last question on UFA.
Let it be very clear. We are Indians and we want our Prime Minister to succeed in his talks vis-a-vis Pakistan.
One last question on UFA and then we have to end this interview. On UFA and on the violations on the border. Will this be an issue that you want to debate and discuss, or once again will this be a cause for disruption and trouble?
No, this cannot be. This is something issue which has to be discussed.
Okay. Here there will be no disruption.
No, naturally there can't be any disruption. This is most important, and this involves the territorial integrity of our country, and we are equally interested, if not more, that our territorial integrity has to be maintained, and our first enemy in the neighboring country is the Pakistan.
Mr. Azad, a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.